You won't be a fool for me. You won't be a fool for me. Yeah, yeah.
All right, so hello everyone. Welcome. So this is going to be my first time ever doing something like this. So today I have a very special guest. He's released 7 albums, including this one, which we're going to be talking about. Has his own YouTube channel, runs a lip sync competition, is a drag queen on the side, and not only has done his own music, but has done music as parody artists. And did I mention that he's only 16? When could your face? Please welcome Lee Dlugosz.
Hey, I'm so excited. Thank you so much.
No problem. Oh, of course. I planned that out. I wanted to pump you up. So the way we're going to do this interview. Oh, first of all, I should say Lee Dlugosz has released his 7th studio album, Polyhymnia. Right now is only on Bandcamp. Though I'm pretty sure efforts are made still to try and get it on other services. Is this correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. He goes through RootNote, which RootNote is apparently a little tricky at times, so he's dealing with that. But right now it's on Polyhymnia, so check that out. But yeah, today we're going to be doing an interview on his new album, and we might be doing another one some other time, but right now this is focusing on his new stuff, obviously. Came out a few days ago. Now, the way we're going to split this up is, first of all, I'm going to give you some kind of general questions around the whole, basically the whole era, and then we'll go track by track, if that's cool. We'll talk about some lyrics and talk about any history or anything of your process writing it, or anything interesting, basically.
That's cool. I like that. Okay.
All right.
I'm ready.
So, first question is going to be the most important question you've ever been asked in your life. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
How are you?
I am very good. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to start off an interview with that. So, second question, which actually, okay, is actually a real first question. Sorry. So, what song for Polyhymnia best describes your mood right now?
That is a really good question. Okay, let me think. I have two.
Okay.
I would say the most one is Secretly I'm Thankful, because I'm really thankful for how this release has gone, and it's gone way better than I could have even imagined. Better than what it would have been if it did go through iTunes and all of the streaming services, because I basically handled this release in how I wanted it to be handled without having any other stress on the release day. So I'm thankful for that, and I'm thankful for all the people who have helped me and just been there, including you, Sam. So thank you very much for that.
No problem.
So publicly I'm thankful, not secretly I'm thankful. And then I guess my other one, because I'm wearing a sickening red lipstick right now, it would be Eloquence, because I feel very eloquent.
Yes, when I wrote down this question, I'm like, I wonder if he's going to say eloquence, which is good. I'm glad you're feeling eloquent. Actually, can you turn on your camera real quick, let the audience see that lovely lipstick?
Hey.
Yeah. Thank you.
No problem.
Also, hair styling. So yeah, that's I didn't even think of that. Secretly, I'm thankful. So that's good. I'm glad to make you happy. I'm glad you're happy with this release.
Thank you very much.
So talk about your first album, which was the Glitch Experience.
Mm-hmm.
How would you feel if I told you it was released 946 days ago?
See, that sounds like quite a while ago. Like, wow, Wow. That's kind of shocking, okay. I'm surprised.
Yeah, but when you word it as days, it doesn't feel as long.
Yeah.
So, but that was your
Yeah.
first album that was released on Bandcamp as well. So it's kind of going full circle. But how do you feel? How much has changed since that album? How do you feel the evolution has come from the Glitch Experience to now Polyhymnia?
Well, music-wise, I feel like over my, I guess you could say 2.5 year journey almost. Well, actually, no, because it's been 3 years since Travel of the Earth was released. So, yeah, over the 3 years, I've gone through a couple of different genres, and I think I've now gotten a comfortable place of kind of like how the Glitch Experience was, because Polyhymnia does have some, tech, well, I wouldn't say techno, but like dance elements to it, which the Glitch Experience did. But I definitely feel like as a writer and a producer, even a singer, I feel like I've evolved more, and it feels now where I can record something and not only have myself be happy with it, but have other people be happy with it, and I can feel like my work is something that I'm proud to present to people.
How different or similar was making this album compared to all your other ones? Like in terms of like, was it more challenging? Was it easier? Did you do anything different? How was it?
So, okay. So how I used to make music, let's say around the Glitch Experience, Dark Moon-ish, was I would make songs very easily because I'd use them with like loop pads, so I could just click on a thing and click, 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 which was the reason why I was making music so much, because it was easy to do, and I was like, oh, why don't artists just do this usually? And then I kind of realized that to make my music sound more like, I guess you could say professional or likable, I had to spend more time in it. So especially with the Wilted Rose, Electric Street and Polyhymnia, as well as some other albums like Temptation, I looked into more places to get loops, to get like just different types of softwares that can help me. And I'll compare it with Electric Street. Electric Street, I took my time because I could tell I was rushing, because I shouldn't have had 5 albums within just over, and when I say just over, I mean like a month over a year into my music career. Like, that wasn't right. And I could feel it on myself. I felt like a really big pressure on myself to do well, especially when I had even more musical friends around me who were progressing really well, and I felt like I was just stuck at a ground of, okay, so this is all I can do. And with Electric Street, I wanted to prove I could do, not only I could produce songs more professionally, because I listened to critiques on my music, I listened to just what I haven't done before, and stuff that I wanted to do to make it not only an album that I could enjoy, but an album that I can present and be proud to present it. And I think March to December, that was like 9-ish months, and that's the longest gap I've ever had between any of my albums, I believe. And I think it showed because I remember getting more praise than I had in any of my other albums at that point for Electric Street. For Polyhymnia, I started making this album before Electric Street was released technically, because Fool's Corner was made in November of 2019 and Electric Street came out in December. And I put on a list of song titles that come in my head, and I'm like, okay, I want to write songs around these. And sometimes I'll write songs and then think of a title. Sometimes I'll think of a title and then write the songs. Sometimes it's even a melody and then I write the songs around the melody. For this album, it was a mix of all of those. I wouldn't really say it was too challenging as in producing wise, but with lyrics wise and getting it past my own head, that was a difficult thing, because for a lot of these I was getting frustrated with how I sounded or just how I produced things, and I wanted to just make sure everything sounded at least really good, if not perfection, because I am a perfectionist on myself and I've grown to learn that. And if I don't like it, then I now won't release it, but I'm glad that I have my other albums to show that. So that's pretty much all I have to say about the making of this album.
Now, have you ever had an experience making an album where, let's say halfway through, you're like, I'm not feeling this. I don't like this. I hate this. Or maybe not even hate, but you don't feel connected. What have you done in that situation? Have you just abandoned the project or released it? Or how did you handle it in the past if it did happen? And if it happened in the future, how would you handle it?
I have two experiences with this, and one of them is one that I've never really talked about, but the one I'm about to say now I've addressed, and that is Nothing Is Real. And I was passionate about the project before I started to make it, and that was my downfall, that I made the artwork, I made the album name, and I made the track list before I'd even started to produce half of the songs. So I was rushing, and I knew that it was just not quality that I was making, it was quantity over quality, 100%. And I will admit that, because every artist will have a moment in time where they feel like they're stuck in a block of, I'm never going to be able to match what people like from me. And so I released my album, which, surprise, surprise, that was also delayed by Root Note. So we have a similar thing going on here, because that album came out on music platforms, I believe, on the 25th of October. And it was supposed to come out on the 12th. So I had to release that on Bandcamp on the 12th. And I now only have select songs that I like from Nothing Is Real, that I would even want to sing. And the way I went about going with that when that happened was by releasing Chapter 1. And the way I ignored Nothing Is Real was by touring for Chapter 1, which was possibly my best tour. I just enjoyed doing it so much, and it felt like, wow, I feel like I'm ready to move on. And I think because of that, I've only ever sung 2 songs live from Nothing Is Real, I believe, or 3, I think, which it could mean like Nothing Is Real is like my hit, like, mysterious era, but I'm happy for that, because I feel like that's kind of what the album is in a way. Like it's one that is very mysterious. And then the second story, which I haven't really told, is I was actually supposed to be releasing an album of about 9 or 10 songs back in June, July, August, in the summer period of 2019. I actually had 2 albums. I had a solo album I was planning and a collaboration album with an artist that I don't think I can name, because they will probably wouldn't want to like associate, but I'll, you might have a good guess of who it was.
Let's just say it was The Fool.
Yeah, I did release 2 singles from that album, and one I reworked with another artist. And that was meant to be on that album and my solo album as well. And some of the songs from Electric Street were on the album that was going to be released in summer, such as Hurt Me Like That, Nightmare, that was going to be on there, World, Designer Clothes, Don't Tell Me to Come Back Here. So yeah, but I decided no. If I release it now, I'm gonna regret it, and I didn't want 9 songs that not rushed, because I did take my time with them and I tried new things with them, but I wanted to perfect those 9 songs and possibly remove some, which did happen. There are a few unreleased Electric Street songs that may see the light of day someday. We never know. But yeah, so that's all I have to say about that.
So you've actually had 2 sides of that, where I said, did you just let it go or did you release it? You did both, where you released Nothing Is Real and you let the other album go. And you have talked a little bit about that one before, very briefly though, but it was in the video we were talking about how you were feeling very discouraged. It was before Electric Street. You're feeling very discouraged, and you said that you didn't feel like you had a lot of support. And you said, I remember now thinking about it, you did say in that video that you had an album and you had no connection to it. But
Yeah.
I applaud you for realizing that and putting it down. Except for the few songs, which you chose the best ones, I might say. Hurt Me Like That's my favorite from Electric Street, as well as Nightmare is amazing, and Designer Clothes. And I like that you do that, because you take things that were, say, older, and you're like, you wait, because if you don't have use for them at the moment, you'll save them, and then it ends up working out for later, because you put Designer Clothes on Electric Street, which I think was a really good track to put on that album, because it was a bit more of an upbeat song. The rest of the album's very, a little more melancholy. And then now with Polyhymnia, I know there's more, but one of them is also In My World, which was originally not meant for this, but it worked out because it's a great addition to this.
Thank you very much.
As I said earlier, a lot of people consider this to be your best and their favorite of yours. It's definitely my favorite. But now I ask you, is this your favorite or not? And explain why.
I think so. I will say yes. Because I can listen to each of these songs and say, oh, this bit's on this album. I can jam to these songs. I can even, sometimes with some of my albums, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done this, or I shouldn't have put this on that. And even with Electric Street, I listen to some of the songs and I'm like, well, I wouldn't really go back to them if I was a listener, but I'm glad I made them. With this album, I'm happy I made each song. I'm happy I included each song. I can admit some flaws now on the album, but I'm happy overall with the majority of this album, and just I think the era in itself is one of my favorites as well.
It's definitely good that you feel that way. But I feel like, because a lot of times when an artist releases a new album, it'll be kind of like the hype of it. Even not with music, and be other things where there'll be something new and I'm like, this is my favorite, and then after a while you're like, oh, you can step back and sort of digest it. But I feel like even Polyhymnia, for me, it's not that. Because Lee sent me some of the demos and of what he had recorded back in, what was it, February, I believe?
Yeah.
And I kept telling Lee, can testify to this. I was like, there's something special about this album. There is something about this album. And I don't say that to devalue any of your other ones, especially Electric Street, which is definitely another one of your best, and was really when you started becoming more confident. But this one, there's just something special, and I'm really happy that you're more confident, and you're really happy, and you have reached the quality that you feel is best, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you very much
It's
for
good.
saying that, though.
No problem. I guess what I'm saying is I'm happy that you're happy with your music. Because I was happy with your other albums, but you know what I mean. It's good that you're happy with that. And it
Thank
worked
you.
out because, I mean, it sounds really good. So that's it for this section. So now we'll go track by track. I realize that this could be a while, so I'm gonna try and not take too much time on this time,
Okay.
which is our beginning. All right, so the first track is more so an opening, which is Time, which is a nice little static with a little jingle in it. Now, you said this was originally going to be a track that was going to be on another album that didn't end up happening.
So when I'm okay, so Time, I made this probably just under a week after Electric Street came out, so I was just thinking about the next album, but I was like, yeah, I'll start making it, start piecing it together, etc. when I want to. And obviously I never did a tour for Electric Street in that era, which, stay tuned, wink wink. But I made this as, in my head, I was listening to a lot of Janet Jackson at that time, and I was like, you know what? I kind of want to do an album that's inspired by like The Velvet Rope, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. And I had just this like, I heard this like loop, and I was like, okay, this could work. But then halfway through, I was like, you know what? No. And I saved it and never touched it again until I was looking back at all of my files on this software, and that's when I listened to this and I was like, oh, this could work as like an opener. So I just saved it to my computer, and I decided that that was going to be the opening piece to the album, if you get what I mean.
Oh, definitely. I feel like it's a great opening. I feel like it's very cozy, very inviting. I don't want this to sound the wrong way. I like that there's no vocals, and not saying there's nothing wrong with the vocals, but I mean, it didn't really need that. It was just a nice little jingle. I think it's nice, and also when you said The Velvet Rope, I immediately thought of "Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone." Which has that kind of staticky vibe to it. I really like that. That adds some perspective to it.
Guys can make you go free. Join with me. Join with me.
Terpsichore. Now, first of all, can you say what does that word mean?
So Terpsichore is the goddess of dance, which I can't elaborate exactly what I'm going to do with that specific title, but once again, wink wink. But yeah, Terpsichore is the goddess of dance, and I wanted to make a song that was the definition of goddess of dance. And I had so much inspiration the day I was making that song. And fun fact, the day I made it, well, not made it, the instrumental for it, I had all of these different album names. They're somewhat in the book that I have, and I had Polyhymnia written down and Terpsichore written down, and I circled them both and wrote Terpsichore, the song, straight away and produced it straight away because of the inspiration I had. And I wanted it to be this kind of disco funk kind of esque song, and it's one of my favorites off the album. I love it so much.
Well, of course. I mean, if it's named after the goddess of dance, it's not going to be piano ballad. Yeah, definitely. I can definitely feel that dancey, or not chaotic. I don't know why I was going to say that. The dancey sort of funk vibe. Definitely. This is definitely one of the best songs on the album, hands down. One of my
Thank you.
favorites. One of my go-tos. One of my most listened to. Now let's go into some of these lyrics. So I think it's interesting. It says, "Standing, just waiting to be noticed, standing out of the shadows, peering back at me, back to me." So could you explain what that means? Because to me, it means just waiting for a moment to be recognized. Is that sort of what it means, or what does it mean exactly?
So I had in my head when I first started producing this, with the whole like the just drums, the that I was like, okay, this needs to be the opening song. Well, yeah, opening actual song. And I was like, lyrics that could represent starting and standing, waiting to be noticed. Like I'm waiting for people to notice this album and waiting to notice me. So standing out of the shadows, which is coming out of a finished era. Like standing, I'm out of the shadow now. Here's my music, peering back to me. It's the music is all coming back to me.
That's interesting. I've never thought of that. That's really interesting. I like that. Let's see. I'm glad to do this. I want to do this because it gives extra context. So I like to know that. Now, another one that I'm looking at now that's caught my eye is the dance floor is the color blue. I like that because the cover art is sort of blue. It gives me kind of a the album cover and the songs give me like an aesthetic. I don't know why. I just feel like even oceany. I know it's not water themed, but run with me here. I'm gonna spew maybe nonsense. It smells like kind of a perfume or a scent that's very elegant, crystal, just very, very regal.
Yes.
Regal's a very good word for this.
Expensive, darling.
Yes. And my favorite part of the song is definitely the chorus. Dance can make you go free. Join with me. I think it's got a very catchy vibe. It gets stuck in my head a lot. That's my favorite part, definitely. But
I'm glad that happened then, because
absolutely.
Yeah, thank you for having it stuck in your head though.
Oh yeah, I listened to that part over and over again a lot. Now you put a little reference here, which is do you ever look at a flower? I wonder how it blossomed, or even worse, how it wilted. And there's a little whisper in the back that says rose, which is like your album Wilted Rose. Was there any meaning with that album in this song, or is that just a reference, or basically just explain that?
So, in a way, this song is about like forgetting bad times and just dancing and having fun. Obviously, with Dance Can Make You Go Free. And I was thinking, bad times. What have I done before that reference? Is that, oh, Wilted Rose. And obviously I just wanted to include a reference because I thought, to me, if you can reference something that you've done, it feels good. And I was like, you know what? There were some disco kind of funky songs on Wilted Rose. It works with this. So that's why I did that.
I like that a lot. I like that you referenced that.
Thank you.
I could be mistaken. Have you referenced Wilted Rose before? I feel like you have, because I feel like I've seen that pop up a few times. Maybe I'm wrong.
I feel like I have, but like it's not coming to me right now, which makes me sound like such a flop.
Well, I think what I'm thinking of is actually Passion Flower, probably because flower. That's probably what I was thinking
Possibly.
of.
I'm never astonished in what I create for myself.
So next is Voice Note 01, which is another interlude, which leads into eloquence. I don't know if there's really much you could explain with this one, but if there is, go ahead.
So, I mean, I think Voice Note 01 speaks for itself, and I wanted it to kind of be like a diary entry, which does sound kind of cheesy, but after you come off Terpsichore, I wanted it to be, because Eloquence is a very upbeat song. It's very hard hitting, and I wanted it to be like the calm before the storm. And obviously I talk about like how I like to wear makeup and I like to dress up and I like to feel good, but I can never feel perfect with that. And that's when it leads into a song about the beauty world, which is Eloquence.
It's all in my name, it's all in my game, it's all in my veins. Beauty, eloquence, glamour.
Yeah, so we'll go into Eloquence, which, as you've described, is kind of about the sort of kind of vapidness and even like vanity sort of the beauty world.
Yep.
And then there's the line which is repeated throughout the song, and it gets stuck in your head. It's a definitely earworm. Beauty, eloquence, glamour, it's all in my name, it's all in my game, it's all in my fame. Now, is this kind of like I don't want to say parody, but kind of a tongue-in-cheek sort of look at the fashion world, or is it genuinely how you feel? Well, I know it's probably definitely how you feel, but I don't know if I'm making sense.
It's definitely tongue-in-cheek. And I was originally just going to have that line be just repeated through the song as like an interlude. Originally just for like a tour. Like I wasn't even planning on including this in the album. I was like, I'm going to make this. I just had it in my head of beauty, elegance, glamour. It's all in my name, like that kind of melody. And I was like, I need to make this something. So I made it that.
Yeah, it says acapella vocals.
And obviously I did want to make it tongue-in-cheek of the stereotypical, like, the beauty world, robots, dolls, fakeness. Like, I wanted to make a song like that just because it's the production kind of would, in a way, contradict the lyrics.
Oh, definitely. I also like that there's not a lot of lyrics in the song because it is very production heavy.
Yeah.
The thing is, although there's not a lot of lyrics, they speak volumes, and you took advantage of the spaces you had, and it still tells a story. From looking at the lyrics, I can still tell what the song's about, and I think you very well accomplished that.
Thank you very much.
There's a part that I really like, which is where you say, "Can you blame me for something that I'm not?" And you go into that, and it's really chaotic because in the back there's that continued sort of mantra or like almost religious like chanting of beauty, eloquence, glamour, it's all in my name. And it does add sort of this chaotic like feel to it that I think was very accomplished. Also, of course, we're all improvised fake Barbies. The machine manufactured. It's again, you can definitely tell what this track's about.
I'm glad that is like spoken through because I was very nervous to release this song. I was like, oh no, people aren't gonna get it. But yeah, I'm glad it does. And I wanted it to, when I say all the lyrics, I wanted the hook, beauty, eloquence, glamour, to be in the back to remind like people like it's not myself, it's pressure from other things. Like we run with a machine that hurts us, that can link to social media, it can link to anything really. I wanted to make a full-on bop. I was like, because at the time before I made this song, there were bops on the album, but not like full. I don't want to say rave, but raving songs like. And I was like, this album needs just a kickstart of power. And this is what I made, and I had so much fun making it.
It's my thesis is coming for you.
So let's move on to a thesis. I love these titles. Matt said as well in your live video. So some of the lyrics are like, you could say I'm strange, point your name at me, throw me on the ground, back up to my feet. So basically, what does that mean?
It's really just about like, because the song is about a plan to get back your revenge. So it could be people called, just in general, people who bully people, you know, they call you strange. You can name call, point your name at me, throw me on the ground. I mean, I've never had that happen to me personally, but there are people in the world who sadly do have that happen, and it's not right at all for any circumstance. Back up to their feet, it's like you get back up again, but it still happens. Try again. It'll never ever work for you, because what are you going to get out of that other than a laugh, if that?
Definitely. I really like, because the title of Thesis to me, I wouldn't expect a song like this. So I like how you took that title and you put a twist to it. Like, I see this one, you obviously don't have a thesis for this. But the one I was mostly thinking of, which is, it's my thesis, it's coming for you. I really like that a lot. How did you come up with the sort of thesis title? Like, how did that come into play? Because I think that's a really clever idea.
So sometimes what I will do is I'll come across words that I'm like, this sounds good. What does it mean? And thesis was a word for some reason that I had in my head that I knew what it meant, but I forgot. So I Googled it and it was like, oh, plan. And I was like, I want to make a song about a plan. But I thought the name A Plan was just basic in a way. So
yeah,
I was
it doesn't have the flair of a thesis.
Yeah. And with a thesis, it adds mystery.
This isn't any old thesis. This is a revenge thesis.
Yes. Like, this is my plan, and you cannot get in the way of that plan. But yeah, that's how I come up with the title of Thesis. And I wrote the lyrics around that title.
And I won't leave no message, treating you like you never go, never go, never.
To Oblivion, which is one of my favorites, and I've said that with Turf the Core and Eloquence. You can tell I really love this album a lot, but this one especially is one that is special to me, at least. And this is one that you sent to me. Definitely has a very tropical feel to it. It's very soothing. I always think of pineapple when I think this song.
Same.
Okay, I'm not the only one. Something about even the word oblivion, which doesn't make sense. No, I'm saying it, but in my mind, I think of pineapple, I think of fruit punch, I think of just palm trees. But that's not what this song's about. And I've always really loved this title a lot, which is Oblivion. So what I was going to ask is, won't you meet me tonight on the Oblivion? So what exactly does that mean?
It means, like, how about we stop all the chaos and just meet person to person and talk things out. Let's just have a good discussion. And I wanted it to match the production of the song.
Have you had an experience like this recently, or is this just kind of a sort of romantic song? I mean, I wouldn't judge you if, it wasn't based on anything recent, but have you had anything like this recently or in living memory?
I mean, I wouldn't say like recently because like I don't know, because I made the song before, like I made the song in March, so like it's kind of outdated at this point anyway. If it was about anything current, which it's not. It's really, and I mean, I'm 16, so what do I know about rent? What do I know about bills? You know what I mean? But I wanted it to add in there as like a serious effect, because that's a serious thing when you grow up, and it can be about one-sided friendships or just anything in general. Like, okay, I've done my work, so what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And when it's like, heard you got a new friend, it's like, okay, so I heard you're trying to replace me, but guess what? He ain't going nowhere, and so am I.
Yep, and that can happen. Especially what you said about one-sided friendships, because there's going to be times where you show support for someone while they're doing something, and then when it comes time to support you, crickets.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe just a one-word comment. Maybe that'll do.
Oh yeah.
Now come back. Now go back to supporting me. Meet me on the Oblivion. And for people who may be listening, I'm not referring to myself. I don't want you to think I'm throwing shade at Lee instead of you or anything. Anyways, but they're out there.
They are.
Want to feel one with me.
Moving on to I Want to Feel, which I've heard you say this is, well, I think you've changed your mind since, I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
I heard this was the least favorite. This is one of my favorites. Another one of my favorites. This album is really good, guys. I love the voice. I actually told you before, this is I feel like this is kind of experimental track for you. Because I've never heard you do something kind of like this before. I really like I don't even know how to describe it, just the little voices at the beginning that say, I want to feel, or I'm not sure quite what they're saying. They could be saying something else, but I think you implemented them in the track really well. So I want to ask, how did you come across that like voice sample? And how were you like, oh, I'm going to use this?
It was on, also this was another thing that was meant for the album, that I was going to release in summer of last year, because I produced it around then, but I never finished making it. But that whole feel, I don't know necessarily what that vocal sample says, but I came across it and I was like, let me start a track off with this. And I thought it sounded like feel, I want to feel. And I was like, I like that. And so I wanted to make a song about ambition and willing to do new things.
Definitely. Is there anything else you'd like to say about this track?
I will say, when you pointed out that it was one of your favorites, I was like, okay, maybe I'm just missing it when I'm listening to it back. And I actually listened to it and I was jamming. I was like, okay, why did I not like this? But I wouldn't say it's necessarily a lyrically deep song, because it was just how I felt in the moment when I wrote it. And obviously the lyrics aren't that like long. I'm looking at them now. But yeah, the lyrics are very short. And this is one of the shorter songs on the album.
Yeah, it's only like 2 minutes. Yeah, it's not even.
Yeah. But I just really wanted to center it around production, because I wanted to try new things. I want to feel new things.
Yeah, exactly. And you accomplished what the track says. So going on to track 8, which is In My World, which we mentioned earlier. This was kind of an older song that found its way on this album, but I feel like it's a great addition. And I couldn't imagine the only other album I could see, maybe on Electric Street, but I think it's a good track for this album. And this is a pretty aggressive track, I would say. Definitely in your vocals, even production's very brash. Yeah, definitely. What was without getting too personal, or if there's nothing you want to share, what was kind of the situation at the time of this track?
Just uncomfortable presence or feelings you get from people. Is the basics, without like going into details with like names and stuff. It's like, hello, am I your friend? You know what I mean? It's kind of like that kind of song. Is it like, oh, I say like, right now I don't think that our friendship is your passion. And like, because I felt that way at that time. And obviously that was a year ago now. Same thing can be said, but it's, well, well, yeah. Yeah, it's just, I was angry at the time and I made the song. I felt like, production-wise, it fit here because we were going off of hard-hitting songs or high songs with lyrics. And this is a song that I put in a new emotion that I don't think I'd ever shown properly before in a track, which was just full on anger at this point. Because if you think I recorded this when the Wilted Rose came out, or just before then actually, and I never really gone into actual anger, and this was my first try at it, and I was really impressed with how I, did that. And obviously at the time it didn't fit on the Wilted Rose. I don't think, because that album was kind of just more, I think, of a fun album. It had some like mysterious songs on it. Electric Street it could have fit on, but at the same time I think this song has kind of a dance-ish vibe to it, like you could if you really wanted to, but it also didn't have like kind of more of a chill energy as Electric Street had, because this one is full on emotion, whereas this album Polyhymnia has a lot of emotion in it, and I thought this is the right time to put it on an album.
Broken heart, do you want to transfer your broken heart? I wish I could, but I can't when I have broken heart.
This is definitely one of your favorites?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. So go into sort of why this one speaks to you so well.
I wrote this one from my 100% 100% raw feeling and emotion. Because I just released The Wilted Rose maybe a month before, if that, and I was just playing around with new songs, and I had this instrumental, this kind of broken sounding with the drums, with the like that kind of sound. It sounded very like distorted in a way and very echoed, and I had this like very beautiful piano dun 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 dun, which obviously my recreation of that with my voice is bad, but you get the idea. And I had conversations with people about my music, about my next album, and I was like, yeah, I'm really just not good anymore. And I was like, wow, I've grown out of music. At one point I was genuinely like, I don't know if I'll ever come back to this for a while, because I was like, it's kind of a chore that I made it for me, so much so that it felt like I have broken art. And I say, I have broken art, do you want to transfer your broken art? Because I wasn't in love with the passion of music, so therefore my heart had been broken. So I kind of wrote this as like, in a way, like a letter to myself. I have broken art, but I'm putting in this letter, do you want to transfer your broken heart? Like, you've kind of done wrong by rushing everything. So do you want to transfer your broken art and, fix this?
Need to go in time for the road ahead.
Track 10, we're almost to the end, is Passion Flower, which we mentioned before, with a rose reference. So yes. This one was an interesting challenge because I actually produced this one. And I was going to go without saying I produced it because I didn't want this to come across as self-promo. But but it did need to be said because you had an interesting challenge here, which I know you've had other people do stuff before, but this is the first time I've ever done it for you. So it's interesting where you're like, okay, how can I use this other person's instrumental and tell my story with it? And I think you utilized it extremely well. So yeah, talk about some of your process with this, like with hearing my instrumental and then what idea came to you and how writing went, if that makes sense.
Of course. So Sam sent me 2 instrumentals, and I listened to the. Did you want me to say that?
No. I thought it was funny because I laughed because I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that other one.
Oh right, sorry.
But no, go on. Sorry to interrupt.
Sam sent me 2 instrumentals, and I listened to this one, and it matched the album perfectly. I was like, wow. You managed to create something that I was thinking of legit in my head. I was like, I should make a song like this. And you took my thoughts and were like, okay, let's do this. So you sent me back the album version, and I fell in love with it, and I instantly started thinking of the melody. And that's when I started to write the lyrics around it. That's when I started to just think of how I would sing it. And this also kind of has an angry vibe, kind of like In My World, but only in the small part of the song when I say, I can't keep track of my stats. I need to go in time for the road ahead. Painting, trying to fly. The doors are open, but I can't reach them. I just noticed that I put the wrong lyric on Bandcamp, probably when I was like rush writing all this. Especially when I sing, painting and trying, and I go to like, okay, I won't sing it now because obviously my voice is apparently she left the building for a second there. Painting and trying to fly, the doors are open, but I can't reach them, and I really put all the emotion in that, and then it just goes from the breakdown just into dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, I really like that because that's what I intended when I produced it. I wanted it to be this sort of chaotic moment, and if I don't know if I would ever do this. I would need your permission. I was thinking of releasing all the instrumentals I made, like for you and for Matt, in like their own little EP, just for fun.
I'd love that.
And if I ever do that, people will be able to hear instrumental and just hear all the breakdowns very heavy. But then it goes woo, and then it just goes back to calmness. And I think you utilize that extremely well.
Thank you very much.
And you definitely, because I was thinking during the breakdown, I was like, I wonder if he's gonna like scream or like have really, passionate vocals. And you did that, and I was like, we were telepathically sort of planning this
communicating there, yeah.
Now, what does passion flower mean? I think you explained in your live, but I didn't quite hear it all. So could you explain passion flower, like saying someone, you're my passion flower? What does that mean? Is that like a compliment, or is that an insult, or what does that mean?
So passion flower to me is like the passion I want to achieve, the passion that I want to get to in my life. And I was talking about a goal. That's my passion flower. As I say, one moment. It spreads open like the petals of a passion flower hidden in with inside. Like, my goal is somewhere in me. Like, what I have to achieve this is somewhere in me. The passion flower is myself, my goal. And it will open one day, and that will be when I feel happy with everything I've achieved. So it is, in a way, like a compliment.
You're in the fool's corner.
Don't pretend. If you're watching this interview, you know which one we're talking about. Good old Fool's Corner. This was the lead single, and this is the one, as soon as I heard when Lee sent me it, I was like, this is the one. This song is amazing. I checked back on your YouTube. I saw some other people commented. Someone put, okay, why is this actually
Yeah.
song? And I was like, first of all, why are you doubting my boy Lee? But second of all, it does slap. You're right.
I've made something I like. This is one of my best songs, like, in my opinion. This is one of my new signature songs. So, yeah, the organ is one of my favorite parts.
The boom when you see the tablet. Could you explain that, the boom? Because you explained to me, I thought it was really interesting. Could you explain to the audience?
So the monologue was about, this fool. This damn fool, why are you bothering me? And the boom from the call, it's like, well, here we go. Let's start this argument. Let's start this debate. Basically, it's like, here we go again.
Nausea, a panic inside me. Nausea, this feeling within me.
But I really like Nausea because the title is sickening. It can make you feel sick, especially when you're, not feeling good. So what is the song about? Is this nausea from self-doubt? Is this nausea from someone hurting you? Or what's it about?
It can be about nausea from anything. Nausea from your own fears, nausea from, in a way, like anxiety or stress, or just general nausea in a way, because it's a very bad feeling. It feels like, oh my God, what is happening to me? And I wanted to set the scene of the song to be like that.
Definitely. You did a music video for this one. I really like the opening of it, like just the words. Could you explain that? Well, like, what was the inspiration for that part?
So I wanted that to be. So I wanted it to be colorful because the video is, some of it is in black and white, and when you feel nausea, like even slight things like colorful things, bright things, flashy things, the paint dropping, or I guess you could say like smoke, colorful smoke dropping, it can influence the state of nausea. And I wanted it to be like, so the world constantly evolves, but when you are in that feeling, it doesn't feel like you evolve, and you evolve into a weakened version of yourself.
Away my life, you could take away my pride.
So to me, verbal gunpoint, it was about how people can use their words as their weapon, as you said. Madonna, she said in one of my favorite songs by her, Joan of Arc, she says, words are like weapons, they betray. Which is, they can hurt us in many different ways. And some days you just reflect. And this was a day where I reflected on a lot of stuff that happened to me, that happened to my friends, that happened in the world, which this song to me, it fits in with today's current political or just current state of the world, which is very, very upsetting and very hard to see and believe. But this is a very short song, but it speaks volumes.
Definitely. I actually didn't realize this. This is shorter than I Want to Feel by 2 seconds. But it definitely carries a lot in it. So it doesn't feel like, oh wow, that was nothing. It does leave an impact.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to. Sorry, carry on.
No. Go on.
I wanted to add the gunshot at the end to, because this is a short song, I wanted, people to remember, like, are you still listening? Like, let's wake up, let's understand the message.
Definitely. And no matter what, this is always gonna be something that everyone in the world's gonna deal with, even thousands of years from now.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Nancy, no matter how many times you say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but your words will never hurt me. That's not true. Words hurt. There's sometimes I'd like a stick or stone thrown at me more than I would some of the things people have said.
Yeah.
Thrown away, thrown away, thrown away, thrown away until you heard the way, heard the way.
Could you go into this track a little bit?
This was in a way my path to pride. Or in general, a path to pride. Not, it doesn't necessarily have to be mine. And I didn't want it to be too ballad, as in I found that, oh my god, I'm gonna cry when singing this song, which is why I wanted the guitar, which is a very peaceful, just which is one of my favorite moments on the album for some reason. I just, every time I listen to it, I can just smile, even though the lyrics can be sad. You know, it's climb up the tree of life and ask yourself why you came here. Like, why did you make these decisions? Why do you feel this way? A life of life corrupts your mind. Hold on tight and you'll see why. As in, like in the future, what you do now have an impact then.
Secretly I'm thankful. Secretly I'm thankful for you.
You said this was kind of like about feeling thankful to maybe family or friends who have sort of helped you. Is that correct?
Yes. This is a thanking, in a way, a song just to, and I had one of these songs in Dark Moon called Thank You, but this one is my updated. This is my, I've got the people now in my life who I want to keep forever.
I also like how like Heard All the Way is kind of like the end, and then Secretly I'm Thankful is like the added like kind of like the encore at the end of a play.
Yeah.
Like the curtains closed, or something, a little thank you card. Yeah, it's definitely one of the most beautiful songs. I think it's a really great way to end the album. It's very uplifting way to end it. Yeah, I like that it ends on like a high note.
Thank you very much. That's what I wanted to channel.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so that was it. That was Polyhymnia. And if anyone thinks I just say I like this album because it's my friend, honey, you're dead wrong. As I've said countless times, I have so many favorites. Even the ones that aren't my top favorites, they're important to the album. And it's such a, everything blends so well together. So, I mean, it sounds like, again, it sounds like I keep saying this just to say it, but I really mean it. I think this is your best work, and I'm very proud of you, and I'm very happy for whatever you have in the future.
Thank you very much.
So, what's next for Lee Dlugosz? Tour, new singles, or just reflection?
Interesting question. There will be a tour for this album, and I may as well announce it now, for Electric Street as well, because that album didn't get the tour that it deserved to shine. In fact, I've only performed live 2 songs from the album. I performed Fake Happiness and Designer Clothes, which was, funnily enough, the Wilted Rose tour I did to basically end that era before I started the Electric Street era. There will be a tour for Polyhymnia and Electric Street, and I'm planning to make it my best so far. I've got the tour poster. Someday soon I'm going to post it. I love it so much. And as for new music, I'm not going to rush into anything too soon, but I will say I want to dance. That's what I'm going to say. I just want to make a feel-good album. Whether that will change in the next how long, who knows.
All right, I like that. That's leaving mystery,
Yes.
as well. I mean, Polyhymnia is the journey of dance and mystery, I believe is what it said.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you for joining me.
Thank you for doing this.
No problem. We might be doing something like this again. I'm not sure, and I'm not sure. I don't know if it'll be track by track exactly. There is a lot of interesting stories behind Electric Street, though I remember, or it might just be a highlights reel going on throughout. But this, of course, wanted to focus on the new thing. So, if you've listened to this album, listen again. If you haven't listened to it, listen to it. It's on Bandcamp so far. That's what it's on. And follow Lee on Instagram if they're not. If you're just following me, because this is probably going to go on my Instagram. If you're not, what are you doing? It's on Lee Music, Lee__ music.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No problem.
Honestly, I'm so thankful.
You see, he's thankful. It's like the ending.
I mean
so thank you, and I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.